Hey friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge. Happy Wee Wednesday. I have not done a Wee Wednesday video in quite a long time. We've got the Sanremu 418S. Yeah, it's that small. It's just a tiny thing. If you're into little knives, even if you're not, and you just want to see what kind of quality Sanremu can do on a tiny knife, well then check out this video. I got it from White Mountain Knives. The price is around $36. What is it? Yeah, $39.95. 40 bucks for this knife, but you can get 10% off with coupon code CCE, and that makes it $35.96. So yeah, 36 bucks for this. That's about 47 Canadian, and I did find Blades Canada has this as well for 50 bucks Canadian. So $3-4 bucks more to buy it in Canada. That's good to see that there's some knives that aren't exceedingly overpriced in Canada. So stick around, we're going to go over to the tabletop and take a good close look at this knife. Here it is. If you want to look at the show side, it says SRM right there. That's the Sanremu triangle logo right there. And here's the back pin. It's round and smooth just like the other one. And on this side, we've got T8 screws. This little tiny guy is on the lock bar insert. That's a T6. So yeah, I thought they might go even smaller, like a T4 or something on there, but that's a T6. So here's the handle. It's sort of an elongated capsule shape, elongated oval, whatever you want to call it. But the blade, we've got a little clip point blade. There's a swedge on it. There's a lot of belly, a little bit of a straight section. SRM, stay ready for more logo right there. We've got a milled out section here, including a hole. The details of that look pretty cool. Jimping, two sections of jimping along the spine there. On this side, we've got that triangle SRM logo again. Model 418S, and then it says Sandvik 12C27 steel. And the serial number for this little thing is right along there. Sharpener's choil's not quite big enough. It's actually a little bit too far back as well. They should have brought it forward just a little bit. Now, this is after I sharpened it. I thought I took some video of before I sharpened it, but no. I do have the measurements, though. It was quite poorly sharpened at the factory, and it wasn't cutting all that well. You know, it got a decent score, you know, about average of what knives are, but it just wasn't cutting that great. So I sharpened it, and it cuts quite good now for tiny little tasks. For tiny little tasks, it cuts quite good. We've got a unique stop pin. It's right there on the end of the blade, and the stop pin touches the handle scales right here, or the frame, for when it's closed to stop it from closing further. And when you go back here, there's a section that's milled out right there, and it goes into that spot for when the knife is open. So that's how that's stopping. We got ball bearings in here. I think they're stainless steel. And there's the lock bar. Like I said, lock bar insert. When I got it, I found out that it's, you know, very smooth. And I think part of that is because the detent was a little softer than I'd like it to be, but maybe I'm not. There you go. There's a detent holding it. Maybe the detent's not too soft. Maybe it's just something about the size that makes it so easy to flip this knife out. I've been doing it this way the whole time, holding it with my middle finger and my thumb, and then just flipping it out. I'll try to zoom back out a little bit more. Holding it like this, and then flipping it out. It's far from fidget friendly and convenient, but it works. Smooth titanium body. We got a backspacer with jimping along it. We've got recessed cutouts here for the keychain ring, probably, or you can put some lanyard on there if you want to. But I like how that's made. That's really nice, so it doesn't bunch out or whatever, and it's small enough that you could put a little keychain ring on it. The only thing is, I didn't carry it with a keychain, and that's because, you know, do you know smooth gray titanium, how easily it gets marred up? Can you imagine clanging around with a set of keys? So no, I did not carry it as a keychain knife. I just carried it in my pocket when there was nothing else in my pocket because I didn't want to scratch it all up and wreck it. You got pretty smooth action, and it's got to be ball bearings in there instead of washers. How does it perform in cutting? Well, now that I've sharpened it, it performs okay. I usually have my thumb right over the pivot screw because that gives some texture to hold on to. And sometimes I put my index finger up here and cutting stuff. Sometimes I just hold it like this and cut stuff. You know, just that's how you're going to use it. This is not a very practical knife. This is a wee knife for people who likes tiny knives. I likes tiny knives. And I'm a fan of this thing. It's quite nice. The price is pretty good. I do wish that they would have used something like 14C28N instead, but hey, this is okay. Before I go on to taking it apart for you, a little extra bit in here. The price of this is $39.95 at White Mountain Knives. And some people are going, why the heck is something so tiny so expensive? There's a huge misconception for a whole lot of people who are into knife collecting, especially guys that have been into it for not terribly long. And that is that because it's small, it should be inexpensive. The thing is, this takes as much, well, maybe more work to design, machine, execute than it does to do a full-size knife, because you're looking at all these tiny little parts and super tiny little tolerances. The materials on a knife are a small little fraction of the price that you pay. You're not paying for steel and titanium. You're paying for workmanship. You're paying for labor. You're paying for, you know, all the expenses that go into designing and executing the build. The materials are a tiny part of the cost of a knife. I think that's a fair price for what you're getting. You've got, you know, ball bearing action. You got good lockup. You've got high tolerances, good machining. See how fine that line is where that lock bar arm is cut out. You know, even a lock bar insert with an over travel stop and everything. Everything's in here, and it's well made. I think it's a very fair price for what you get. So now let's take it apart and show you how it's made. Here it is, almost taken apart. I don't know. Sanremu's been making knives for a long time, and they've been putting D-shaped pins on body pins for a long time, but this guy's free spinning. Yeah, it's a T8, but it's free spinning, so I didn't get it apart. I guess I could put it in boiling water and see if I could get it, but there's no way I want to start grinding on that thing to try to keep it from turning, and it's rounded and soft, smooth. It's going to spin. So it's mostly apart. We do have a D-shaped pivot pin right there. And there you can see the blade. And let me see if I can get one of those ball bearings out of there. So there's the tiny steel ball bearings. Just the itty-bitty little things right there. So yeah, steel ball bearings in here. Yes, I thought of just, you know, holding this handle scale and spinning this one, but there's a pin in here to line up the backspacer to stop it from moving. So yeah, that's not really possible either. But there you go. That's how it's made. The weight of this knife, this is 20 grams. That's 0.7 ounces. The factory sharpness was 140 bes. Like I said earlier, that's about average for the knives that I review. But it's a whole lot better now that I've sharpened it. Now let's zoom in just a little bit here. The cutting edge length is 32.5 millimeters, 1.28 inches. The blade length tipped to the closest spot on the handle, 32.8 millimeters, 1.29 inches. The thickness of the blade, 2.03 millimeters, that's 0.08 of an inch. The blade depth, this way, 13.3 millimeters, 0.52 of an inch. How thick is it behind the grind? 0.47 millimeters, which is 18.5 thousandths of an inch. Not bad. I do wish it was a little bit smaller. The grind angles, this side 22.3 degrees, that's the average. This side 20.8 degrees. This side at the heel was 23.9 degrees. At the tip, 17.8 degrees. That's over 6 degrees of angle change. On that tiny short little distance, that's pretty bad sharpening. On this side, it's 3.3 degrees of angle change, 23.8 to 20.5. So yeah, the sharpening, not so good. Not at all. The handle length, 51.2 millimeters, 2.02 inches. The grip area, 4.5 centimeters, about 1 3/4 inches, roughly. The thickness of the handle, not on the screws, just on the titanium, 7.66 millimeters, 0.301 of an inch. The handle depth this way, 14.1 millimeters, 0.555 of an inch. When the knife is closed, 15.1 degrees, 0.595 of an inch. And the total length of this knife from tip to the end, 84 millimeters, 3.3 inches. The pros and the cons and all that stuff, what do I think of this thing? Nice lanyard hole option. I like that you got T8 screws here. The pivot and everything made quite well. I don't mind those steel ball bearings. So, you know, of course, ceramic be better, but those steel ball bearings are no problem. The stop pin here is pretty cool. I like that it's an end flipper, and it works really well. Let's zoom back out again. It's got reasonable action. Quite like that. It's got a cuteness factor, and I like tiny knives, so that's kind of good. It's a fun little knife. The cons, the sharpener's choil. I really wish they would have paid a little bit more attention to the sharpener's choil. You can see in the close-up pictures that it's sharpened up into the plunge there. It was sharpened like that from the factory already. Especially on this side, I didn't do it. There's a shiny spot right there on the ricasso, and that wasn't done by me. That was done at the factory when they sharpened it right up to there. I probably should have pointed that out in a little more detail at the intro. I mean, in the introduction section, but yeah, that's there. So I'm not that fond of that. Although I don't have any marks or lines on in here. If I was to carry it, it would get marred up in a hurry. I'm not that fond of that happening. Some people might like a pocket clip on this kind of thing. I don't know. I've got some tiny knives with pocket clips, and yeah, it does work, and it is okay. For 35 bucks, I think 14C28N would have been a much better choice. It's not much more money than 12C27. You know, you've got a titanium frame lock, preferred a better steel on here. Fit and finish, okay. Well, a little better than okay. Badging, a little overdoing it on the badging. SRM, SRM, and SRM. But Sanremu is known for over-badging on their knives. At least they're small. Although I do wish they would have used that flat section inside that cutout area to put some of these details from the blade. Do you have one of these? Are you going to get one of these? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. All 52 of you. I think it's 52 right now. That Patreon and YouTube membership supporters, that is. I appreciate your help an awful lot. I hope you had a happy Wee Wednesday. And remember, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.